Greetings in the love and in the light of the one infinite creator. Today we will be reading session 98 of the Law of One. Um, Robert, would you be so kind as to do the questions today?
Well, sure.
Yeah, I'll. Can you see it now?
Yes.
Okay. All right. So, I am Ra. I greet you in the love and in the light of the one infinite creator. We communicate now.
Could you first please give me the condition of the instrument?
I am Ra. The physical energy deficit has somewhat increased. The vital energy distortions are somewhat improved.
We eliminated our meditation prior to the session. Would Ra comment on that?
I am Ra. The purpose of preparation for working is the purification of each entity involved with the working. The removal of a portion of this preparation has a value determined by the purity of each which takes part in the working has achieved without that particular aid.
I had just taken a wild guess that it was possibly during that meditation prior to the working that was used by our fifth density negative friend to create the allergic reactions and other in the instrument. Was I correct on that or incorrect?
I am Ra. This entity greets the instrument as close to the working in your space-time continuum as is practicable. The elimination of that preparation caused the fifth density entity to greet this instrument at this juncture of decision not to meditate. The greeting does not take what you would call a noticeable amount of your time.
Was the greeting as effective as it would have been if the meditation had been done?
I am Ra. Yes.
I have a question from the instrument. She states, could Ra tell us what factors are allowing our fifth density negative companion to be able to continue greeting the instrument in the throat area, as well as with other unusual sensations such as dizziness, smelling of orange blossoms, the feeling of stepping on imaginary creatures, and what can be done to lessen these greetings, and why the greetings occur on walks?
I am Ra. There are various portions of the query. We shall attempt answer to each. We tread close to the law of confusion, saved only by the awareness that, given lack of information, this instrument would, nonetheless, continue to offer its service. The working of your fifth density companion, which still affects the instrument, was, as we have stated, a potent working. The totality of those biases which offer to the instrument opportunities for increased vital and physical strength, shall we say, were touched by the working. The Blu-ray difficulties were not entirely at an end after the first asking. Again, this group experienced blockage rare for the group, that is, the Blu-ray blockage of unclear communication. By this means, the efficacy of the working was reinforced. The potential of this working is significant. The physical exercising, the sacred music, the varieties of experience, and indeed simple social intercourse are jeopardized by a working which attempts to close the throat and the mouth. It is to be noted that there is also the potential for the loss of this contact. We suggest that the instrument's allergies create a continuous means whereby the distortion created by the magical working may be continued. As we have stated, it shall be necessary, in order to remove the working, to completely remove the distortion within the throat area caused by this working. The continuous aggravation of allergic reactions makes this challenging. The orange blossom is the odor which you may associate with the social memory complex of fifth density positive, which is known to you as the sound vibration latwi. This entity was with the instrument as requested by the instrument. The odor was perceived due to the quite sensitive nature of the instrument, due again to its, shall we say, acme in the 18-day cycle. The sensation of stepping upon the small animal and killing it was a greeting from your fifth density negative companion, also made possible by the above circumstance. As to the removal of the effects of the magical working, we may make two suggestions, one immediate and one general. Firstly, within the body of knowledge which those healers known among your people as medical doctors have is the use of harsh chemical substances which you call medicine. These substances almost invariably cause far more changes than are intended in the mind body spirit complex. However, in this instance, the steroids or alternatively the antibiotic family might be useful in the complete removal of the difficulty within which the working is still able to thrive. Of course, the allergies would persist after this course of medicine were ended, but the effects of the working would no longer come into play. The one you call Jerome might well be of aid in this somewhat unorthodox medical situation. As allergies are quite misunderstood by your orthodox healers, it would be inappropriate to subject the instrument to the services of your medical doctors, which find the amelioration of allergic effects to be connected with the intake of the same toxins in milder form. This, shall we say, treats the symptom. However, the changes offered to the body complex are quite inadvisable. The allergy may be seen to be the rejection upon a deep level of the mind complex, of the environment of the mind body spirit complex. Thus, the allergy may be seen in its pure form as the mental emotional distortion of the deeper self. The more general recommendation lies with one which does not wish to be identified. There is a code name prayer wheel. We suggest 10 treatments from this healer and further suggest a clear reading and subsequent following upon the part of the instrument of the priorities of allergies, especially to your foodstuffs. Lastly, the effects of the working become apparent upon the walking when the body complex has begun to exert itself to the point of increased respiration. Also, a contributing factor is the number of your second density substances to which this instrument is allergic. No. Did anyone want to comment on this long one, or if you do, you can mute or
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I'm just.
okay.
I have multiple allergies myself, and that was interesting to see that. I'm sitting here trying to scroll up the wording, and it's on your screen.
Oh,
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, which part were you looking for?
I don't know. A couple. That was a long
Yeah,
response.
yeah.
Um,
What's a prayer
right
wheel?
right there, where it
Up,
says
up.
the allergy may be seen to be the rejection upon a deep level of the mind complex
Mental emotion.
of the mind
Yes.
body spirit complex. So the allergy may be seen in its pure form as a mental emotional distortion of the deeper self.
Yes. Yeah.
That's yeah.
So, at least in my experience, I think that the way to resolve it would be to do like a meditation to resolve those deeper distortions, of loving and accepting the catalyst or the environment. Ed?
I found that really, really interesting because I mean, when I'm here at my little shack and everything, I don't really have any kind of hay fever or anything like that, and I'm basically outside all the time. And what's really strange is when I go back into kind of a town and I go into like a proper house, like when I go around to my girlfriend's or my mum's or whatever, then essentially I get like an allergic reaction from being like in a normal town environment. It's really, really strange. Right now, I've often thought, surely you'd think that allergens and everything were freer in the countryside, out when there's lots of fields, there's lots of pollen, there's lots of like things to come in contact with. I didn't, and so it always kind of shocked me why I was having these reactions in a town and in a place where it's clean, and you shouldn't have much of these reactions. But that makes sense. If I don't really, my mind body spirit complex has some kind of rejection of that place, that of being in a town, of being around like thousands of people that just mash up the energies and everything, like that would make sense that why I have those reactions going into somewhere that you'd think I'd have less of it. That makes perfect sense. And also, right, I stopped using antihistamines a while ago, because of the fact that I found that they made everything worse.
Yeah.
Like, that is
You're
that is
allergic
like,
to people,
and Ra
Ed.
just laid it out, like, straight out. Huh?
You're allergic to people. I am
Yeah,
too.
I think I am. Seriously.
Well,
Like, it's
it's the environment, the urban environment. It can be spiritually oppressive, and that may be what you're reacting to.
You know,
100%.
time clocks really bother me.
So if you came over to the U.S. and met all of us at once, Ed, you'd probably break out in hives.
No.
He will, because he loves us. He loves us.
But
Yeah,
let's do it. Let's do it out in the countryside somewhere. Then everything's fine.
So in that case, then in order for him to get over that allergic reaction, he's got to come to terms with being okay with being around people in the grand scheme of it all.
And go
Right.
back to the civilized environment. I've actually kind of got to come to terms with my dislike for it, because it's the thing that's
Well, you've been in
driving
hermit
me.
mode for so long.
This is it.
Oh.
I've hidden away in my little shack for years now, and it's like, going back to the real world is actually strange. So, like that's
agree.
probably what's fueling the whole reaction. Like, that makes like massive amounts of sense. Thank you, Ra.
So what's
Now-
a prayer wheel?
Here,
I think that was the name of a healer.
this is what a prayer wheel looks like. Well, there's several versions, but it's usually a Tibetan thing.
Didn't
so
he
maybe
say it
there
was a code name? though?
Buddhist.
Yes.
It's
Yeah,
some
yeah.
So,
code name.
didn't he say it was a code name for a healer?
Huh.
Code named prayer wheel. Yes.
Yep.
Okay, so it could have been a Tibetan Buddhist healer, because I mean they're the ones that use prayer wheels.
Just to clarify, did they say that is into her allergies or interrupting with their connection?
No, I think it was more that it's interrupting with her being able to communicate. They said that it's causing Blu-ray problems because they're not being able
So
to
to
communicate properly
communicate
'cause their
with
throats are
people,
closed up.
or okay, so they're saying communicate with people in general, like even the
Yeah.
group, not with them.
No, I think it's more that she can't, because she couldn't talk and that because her throat was all closed up.
Well,
okay,
that
I
she was like, she
wouldn't
wasn't
it,
able to
wouldn't it make
communicate.
wouldn't it make sense that if she was getting Blu-ray interference, then she wouldn't, even with the people in the group, she would have trouble transferring Blu-ray energy, to get to the contact, even, and in all aspects. So it would work through both ways. It would work against the contact specifically, but it would also work against her interactions with the other people in the group in 3D.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah,
it's not only affecting in 3D, everything's affecting in all dimensions at the same time. So it's also affecting in the dimensions that they're coming from.
Yeah, it says the group experienced blockage rare for this group. That is the Blu-ray blockage of unclear communication. And so this the allergies combined with the greeting was causing unclear communication. And obviously that would interfere with the contact if you're not getting clear information with the contact.
Yeah, exactly. Makes sense.
All right. Did anyone have any last remarks on this, or should we move on to the next? Okay. All right. Robert?
Thank you. The second question is, our oldest cat, Gandalf, has a growth near his spine. Is there any factor that makes the surgical removal of this growth less appropriate than the surgical removal of the growth that we had performed a year ago last April? And would the most appropriate actions on our part to aid his recovery be the visualization of light surrounding him during the surgery and the repeating of ritual phrases at periodic intervals while he is at the veterinarian's?
I am Ra. No, there's no greater cause for caution than previously, and yes, the phrases of which you speak shall aid the entity. Although this entity is in body complex old and therefore liable to danger from what you call your anesthetic, its mental, emotional, and spiritual distortions are such that it is strongly motivated to recover, that it might once again rejoin the loved one. Keep in mind that this entity is harvestable through density.
Would you explain the reason for saying, keep in mind that this is harvestable third density? And tell me if you have any other specific recommendations with respect to the proposed operation on the growth.
I am Ra. We stated this in order to elucidate our use of the term spirit complex as applied to what might be considered a second density entity. The implications are that this entity shall have far more cause to abide and heal that it may seek the presence of the loved ones.
Is there any additional recommendation that Ra could make with respect to the proposed operation?
I am Ra. No.
I was wondering if I was correct in my assumption that the reason for the growths was a state of anger in the cat, Gandalf, because of the introduction of the newer cats into his environment. Was I correct?
I am Ra. The original cause of what you call cancer was the distortion caused by this event. The proximate cause of this growth is the nature of the distortion of the body cells, which you call cancer.
Are there any other cancerous growths at this time within the cat Gandalf?
I'm Ra. Yes.
Can we alleviate these or those? And if so, how and where are they?
I'm Ra. None can be alleviated at this space-time nexus. One is located within the juncture of the right hip. Another, which is very small, is near the organ you call the liver. There are also small cell distortions under the, we may call it, arm, to distinguish the upper appendages on both sides.
Is there anything that we can do to alleviate these problems other than surgical that would have a good effect to help Gandalf alleviate them?
I am Ra. Continue in praise and thanksgiving, asking for the removal of these distortions. There are two possible outcomes. Firstly, the entity shall dwell with you in contentment until its physical body holds it no more due to distortions caused by the cancerous cells. Secondly, the life path may become that which allows the healing. We do not infringe upon free will by examining this life path, although we may note the preponderance of life paths which use some distortion, such as this, to leave the physical body, which in this case is the orange ray body.
Does the cat Fairchild have any of this same type of problem?
I'm Ra, not at this space-time nexus.
Was it necessary for the cat Gandalf to be a mind-body-spirit complex harvestable third density to have the anger result in cancer?
I am Ra. No.
Then any mind-body complex can develop cancer as a result of anger. Is this correct?
I am Ra. This is correct. At this time, we would break our routine by making an observation. We observe the following coincidence. Firstly, the congestion of this instrument's throat due to the flow of mucus caused by the energized allergic reaction has at this point become such that we may safely predict the probability-possibility vortex approaching certainty that within 1/2 hour we shall need to depart from this working. Secondly, we noted the above sound vibration made by one of your sound vibration recording devices was audible to us. If this group desires, it may choose to have sessions which are brought to an ending soon after the sound vibration occurs. This decision would ensure the minimal distortions within the instrument towards the discomfort comfort within the throat until the effects of the magical working of your fifth density companion have been removed. All right, I wanted to pause there so we could talk about the cats if anyone wanted to, and the cancer. Did anyone?
So with the cancer thing, I think I can relate. It happens in humans too. And so it's trapped emotions in our body that comes down to cancer. Same thing with me, ovarian cancer start, and I know that it came from a lot of anger towards my mother, stuff like that. Now, granted, our relationship is fantastic right now, but what I'm saying is, growing up, it was such a very hard, difficult relationship, and then it manifested there in that form. And then for them to say then afterwards is just how the cells work, which makes sense because now I have an amazing relationship with my mother, but I'm still having issues on the cancer aspect of it all. So therefore, yeah, the cells got a little mind of their own, going to do what the hell they want. But yeah, so I can relate to that.
I wonder if there's some empathic kind of contribution. If you're sensitive to other people's energy, could their anger be contributing to a cancerous problem in you?
I would think so if you don't release it, if you don't clear yourself from other people's
Mhm.
energies.
Yeah, and if I remember correctly, ovarian cancer was related to accepting yourself as a woman. But no.
Maybe that's partially, but no, it's very much has to do with your relationship with with your mother,
Oh,
and
okay,
anger
okay,
with that. Yeah.
okay, okay.
Oh, I accept myself as a woman.
Well, that's wonderful. That's wonderful. Maybe it was a different female organ that it was about accepting oneself as a woman. Yeah, I know
Love you,
so.
Desiree.
Mhm.
I
Yes,
hope you're
yes,
okay.
yes. We do. We do. We can do the prayers and love
Yes,
and light and
prayers and
healing for you.
thanksgiving.
Hmm. Yes, prayers and
100%.
Thanksgiving. You
I mean,
know,
that should be a
for
thing.
your health and you know all that. Your long life. Was there anything?
Microphone won't turn off.
What?
Excuse me, Fred?
My microphone won't. Oh, is my microphone on?
Yes, it's on.
Oh, okay. It's telling me it's off.
Oh, weird.
Your video was off.
Yeah, it froze.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so can I just say, how cool would it be if you could have like the raw cancer diagnosis system? You know, that you could like just sit there and like, channel in someone and just be like, right, okay, you got to go to a doctor because this is fucked and that's fucked. You've got to do this and you've got to do that. Just scan the body and tell you where all the problems are so you can just go there. I agree. Hi.
Yeah.
It's like a PET scan without going to get a PET scan. It's just telling you
Yes.
where everything is.
A raw
Saves you a
scan.
lot of money.
That's it.
Yeah. Well, the quantum healing hypnosis therapy is a very effective means of that. And you don't even need a third agent. Basically, you just have the hypnotherapist and the subject. And then if they manage to get the person down to connect with their subconscious, which is somewhat deeper than just past life, then the hypnotherapist can talk to the subconscious and be like, why do you have this health problem? Or like, what health problems do you have? What is the solution? Okay, fix it. And it's like, or what do they have to do to fix it? Oh, Desiree, you're muted.
What's the
I said
name of
yes,
that?
and that would it's quantum healing hypnosis technique, QHHT by Dolores Cannon. What makes sense
Okay.
is that for that would be, say I had use me as an example just because it's easier. If I had no idea whatsoever that it had anything to do with my relationship with my mother in the beginning, then I went through that and then it became clear and then your body's allowed to work through it. Absolutely. But then I wonder now, based on what Raja said, even after, because so in the beginning it started with the anger and then they removed it, like the cat had surgery, did it not? And then now it's just the cells. So maybe the cat's not angry anymore, and then the cells are still going to do it. So I don't know if QHHT would help in that aspect of it. In the beginning, maybe to help you identify if you're not already self-aware. But what about in the latter case?
Could it also be that, since that the same thing happened with Carla, where she had kidney problems her whole life as a kid and everything. She just had those problems. Those were like her Achilles tendons of that was her Achilles tendon of life, was those problems. And they
Reincarnative
manifested
choice.
themselves. Pardon?
Pre-incarnative choice.
Yeah,
The
yeah.
law of one.
So they just were what was manifested and used as a tool by the negative to, strike. That's the easiest strike point, is just to manifest in an area that is already a weak spot for you. Would that be the result of what's happening now to you? Since it's like getting you injure yourself in one place. Now it's a permanent thing you got to watch, because and this is with me. I injured my back seriously when I was like 24 years old. Ever since then, I little thing I can hurt my back. It's just, that's your weak spot. And if they're going to, you're going to be attacked that way, that's where they're going to go.
You're asking me?
Yeah, I'm
Or
asking
were
your
you just
opinion.
saying in general?
Well, I think I think that's kind of like specifically what you're getting at, what you're saying. That if it's going to manifest, it's going to manifest itself anyway. But I would think that would be a good reason as to why. I don't know how you fix it. I don't have an answer as to how to fix that, but that would be, to me, maybe the problem. I mean, that's a theory. In theory, I don't know, because
Well,
I'm not a magician or nothing. But
yeah.
We're all magicians.
Yeah.
Go on, Andre.
we're
Oh, I
putting all
think you
our minds
froze.
together.
Oh, what happened?
Disconnected momentarily for some reason.
Oh, there you are.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah, we're
You
still.
were gonna say something.
Yes. Yeah. So what I was gonna say is that there is the it's mentioned often in the law of one material that fourth entity negative entities, they will go after any weak spots that you have or chinks in your armor. And so Fred is right in that regard. And in terms of the leftover cancerous cells, the body is able to remove those, and it's more of a matter of when you and your higher self is fully.
Crap. He went out again.
Okay, so
Well,
I've
I
got a
get what
little
he's
thing to
he what
say.
he can I say something real quick on that?
Okay.
But what if I get that, but I also think that that's part of your catalyst too that you put in there for yourself for specific things. Like I already know the whole reason behind this one. It's not a bad one. It's for me, it's to choose the choice of life. And if you
Mhm.
knew my story and what I went through, I mean, I didn't want to live this last time, but it's like, here I am. I had a voice come to me telling me, whatever. It goes a lot deeper than that. But now it's like, it's a choice now for me, and I'm choosing me. And I do very much think that it could be that, like how Fred was saying, where something to come in and kind of fuck with you. I mean, they've been trying to mess with me for so darn long, but they're just not gonna win. So,
Yeah.
but sorry, Ed, what you were saying?
Okay, so I got a cool little as I say, cool. I got a theory behind this whole thing, which could link it all up. Like they could be the weak spots and whatever else. But one of the best ways I heard cancer described when I was at uni and that was talking about it as every single individual cell inside you is a different living entity. They're completely living its own living thing. Yeah. Now, when something goes cancerous, all that cell does is it forgets that it's part of the whole. It forgets that it's part of you, of oneness. So then instead of being part of the system that makes us us, it goes back to being a normal living cell, which just
Doing
replicates
what it
and eats
wants.
everything. That's what it does. It just makes more of itself and eats everything. That's all life does. But the fact is, maybe, I mean, I don't know. Like, this is just a suggestion, but like looking at the etheric body, the second density body that's made of the cells, the individual cells, and trying to convince the cells to come back to oneness with you. I mean, I don't know.
Yeah,
It's a
that's a
simple
good idea.
idea, but like, if
It doesn't
anything,
hurt.
it makes as much sense as anything else.
Yep, absolutely.
Anyway, love you.
That
Love you.
brings to mind for me a conversation I've had with a couple of people where one of them said, for example, say your liver's kind of not working quite right or your kidney, that in essence on the energetic level the brain isn't quite seeing it to connect with it.
Yep. All right. Did we want to finish this session? There was just a couple more.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. Robert. Here, I'll maximize it for
We
you.
sure. Yeah. It is that one. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. That is perfectly fine with us. That noise occurs at the 45-minute time since the tape is 45 minutes on a side. I would just ask as a final question then if the new table that Jim has built for the appurtenances is satisfactory to hold them, since it will give us more room to walk around the bed, and if it is better to leave it in its natural condition as it is, or to coat it with linseed oil or varnish or paint.
I am Ra. We view this appurtenance. It sings with joy. The pine vibrates in praise. Much investment of this working in wood has been done. It is acceptable. We may suggest it be left either as it is or rubbed with the oil, which also is easily magnetized and holds the preferred vibration to a profound extent.
I was wondering if this would be an appropriate time to end since the tape recorder has clicked some time ago.
I am Ra. This is a matter for your discrimination. The instrument remains open to our use, although, as we have noted, the physical distortions begin to mount.
Think we had better close to maintain the instrument's physical energy, and I will ask if there is anything that we can do to improve the contact or make the instrument more comfortable.
I am Ra. All is well. We find your concerns appropriate. We leave you in the love and in the light of the one infinite Creator. Go forth, therefore, rejoicing in the power and in the peace of the one, Adonai. All right. So, and we greet you in the love of...
That caught you off guard right there, didn't it? When it said
yes,
the one.
it did. Just the one. Yeah. We greet you in the love and light of the one infinite Creator. Let us open our hearts with love and kindness for each other as we discuss this Raw session and any related matters, remembering the divine within ourselves and others and loving and accepting each other as one. All right.
Can I just say how beautiful was that thing at the end where he said the pine resonates with joy? I really hope all of my furniture sings.
What did they mean by the oil that's magnetic?
That it
I mean, was it the linseed oil held the magnetism?
I can't remember how he worded it exactly.
Can you bring it back up, Andre?
Oh, yes, I will in just a second.
One of the very last things he said.
Okay.
I don't think it was magnetic as in like metal filings magnetic, but just attractive.
Magnetized, easily magnetized, and holds the preferred vibration to a profound extent. So that's like, as in, it's easily the energies are changed easily.
You notice how he didn't comment on varnish or paint because those seem less natural.
Oh yeah, perhaps.
So it must be he must be referring to the linseed oil.
Yes.
Yes.
Specifically,
Yes.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But they didn't want to take away from the free will to use varnish or paint.
Right.
Didn't comment on them at all. but they did give a positive attribute to the oil to help guide in the right direction.
Mm-hmm.
Or they can leave it as is.
Right. Because it sings with praise, or however that was put. It vibrates in praise. Yeah.
Vibrates in praise. Yeah, it must have been very happy with Jim working on it with all the love and all the light.
That's
and all
it. I think it must be really, really happy that they want to paint it. Like
well, that he made
joy that they're giving it the choice of what it wants to be painted with.
Yeah.
That's actually beautiful. Why doesn't everyone treat their furniture like that? What colour do you want to be?
Did anybody ever seen a picture of it?
No.
I don't think I have, anyways.
I know I made my Lutheran neighbor think I lost my mind when I told her my garage was alive.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Just goes to show how disconnected our worldview is when people don't consider these things.
I know. No, I think about that so much, dude. At work, it's just like, man, I do not see shit the way you do, dude. Like, I can't even I could not function. I think hanging around somebody like how certain people they'll hang out after work 5 days a week together and drink beer and party and everything. I could not hang
Well,
out
that's
with them.
because
I couldn't.
because you're vibrating at a whole different
But
frequency than
it's
them.
insane
And
to
you
me.
attract, huh?
It's insane to me because I never noticed it as that. I just would do it and be around those people and feel fucking miserable and drained and not understand what was going on. Now I get it. Duh. It's logical to me now. It makes
Hmm.
sense when you think of things in the aspect of energy, because everything's energy, and it's the vibrational and frequency variations. Yeah, I understand frequencies and vibrations and waves and all that shit. I that makes perfect sense to me. And
Fred,
and
dude,
now
Fred,
just
Fred,
being,
Fred. Don't hate these people too much, or you'll start having allergic reactions when you turn up at work.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's true. Well, our mission and service to others is to learn to forgive, love, and accept people as they are.
no, okay. You want to hear this shit? All right, this week I had. I know this is petty, but dude, you at a big shop. I'm telling you, I've worked at big machine shops and fab shops before. If you steal a man's lunch out of the company refrigerator, you can start a fist fight with that kind of behavior. That can actually start a fist fight. So people get really mad. Well, this week
Oh
somebody
yeah.
stole a portion of one of my lunches,
Yep.
and I knew who it was. Everybody knew who it was, and I'm like, okay, I'm not going to say anything. I'm pissed off because just you stole the food and then you put the empty container back in the fridge and acted like you didn't do it. Like whatever.
As
And
much as that
so,
sucks, Fred, have you ever wondered why he's doing that? Does he
well,
not
I
have the
know,
means? You know, though it
no,
sucks. I
he,
know. I totally get it, but
yeah,
uh,
I know why he doesn't. He has a gambling problem and an alcohol problem and a drug problem and a pill problem, and he has, he
So,
he goes to
dude, just
bars.
bring him in an extra lunch.
Yeah. Exactly.
Well, this is
Like, if you know
what
he's going to be a
happened.
mess, man, probably not bringing any food. Just bring in some lunch for him, dude. Like, make another
He
sandwich.
it's
Make
he
it
to
came
better.
you
in
from that anger.
he came in today and he says, "Hey," he's just joking around. He's like, "You bring any extra lunch? What'd you bring for lunch?" And I said, "Well, I brought my own food, but if you're going to take my food out of the fridge, if you need to eat something, say something. I'm going to share whatever I have. It's not a problem, but don't just take." And he goes, and I'm like, just say something. That's all you got to do. Just say something. I have no problem sharing. Chat, the other guy that works there, he give him food too if he asks for it. Just ask. That's all you got
Dude,
to do
how
is
cool would
ask.
it be,
Or
though, if you
or
just turned
maybe
up and
just
if he
bring it.
asked, you just had it sitting
Yeah,
there ready for him?
I can,
Yeah.
and I do occasionally bring extra food in. Sometimes I think everybody there does. There's only 6 of us working there, so the girls today bought cookies at One Hot Cookie for everybody, and they just occasionally do that. And everybody brings in food once in a while, but um, just
I think
it just
for you,
he's created a problem over this a couple times, and he actually almost the one I guess I heard the story. Somebody he did this to. He stole his KFC that was in the refrigerator, and the guy almost choked him. So he's had
so
this
for
problem before. I didn't want to start a problem, but I wanted to make sure he knows that's a boundary with me. Don't steal
yeah.
my shit, and
So
just say something. So I
I,
was nice
I
to him. I didn't blow up at him or nothing. But um,
here's
go
the
ahead.
thing. I understand that you want him to know that. I think Ed has a great is on to something when he says to bring him one. Here's the thing:
Yeah,
you're showing this man. You don't have to confront him like that. And honestly, it's more for you to let go of that anger on it too. You're showing him that he's being acknowledged, and then I feel like when you do that, it's gonna bring something in him to see that maybe it might lead him to really acknowledge his issues, the things that he has, but just showing that little bit there and quite kind of letting go of that need for someone to acknowledge our, boundary. You know what I'm saying? It's just that's you reaching out that heart thing there without the need for anything and just showing it to him.
Kill him with
And then
kindness.
you won't be angry anymore and you won't have to care. You won't carry that and you'll see there'll be a difference. I truly believe that.
Yeah. Well, I have a related story, and it was that basically.
Okay, dude, could I just quick jump in
go
and
ahead.
just say
Go ahead.
on Fred's bit, and then do the story after? Sorry. So I was just gonna say, Fred, from what Ross said in here, yeah, like like cancer is like just caused by being angry about stuff. Just let it go, dude. Realize it's a big, scary kind of like outcome just from being pissed off. The cat got pissed off because another cat turned up. Like seriously, it could be really because something quite small. Let go of this stuff, dude. Also, just to say, yeah, if this guy keeps winding you up, so you get really, really angry, and you get really, really angry, and you get really, really angry, and then you get cancer, do you reckon that you can take him to court and be like, you killed me with your stress? Anyway, sorry, Andre, man, your turn.
Yeah. So my approach would be like, hello, dude. I forgive and love and accept you as you are. And I acknowledge that you have taken some of my lunch, and I have concern and love for you and compassion for you, because one of the commandments is thou shalt not steal, and the idea there is that when we take from others, we are hurting ourselves karmically, because then others will take from us, because Creator always gives us the opportunity of a mirror reflection. And so by respecting other people's belongings, then our belongings can be respected in the future. And so out of my compassion and love for you, I wish to help you form healthy habits. If you are hungry, feel free to ask, and then I would lovingly provide you with some food or some sustenance, and we can all get together and help you have enough. Thank you, and I love you.
That'd do it, dude.
Andre, that's beautiful, but I know you don't know my exact work situation, but I guarantee about 10 seconds into that monologue, you would have gotten either grab-assed and told your, some slang name, or asked who your weed dealer is, because it's really good, dude. And that's about the reaction you would have got. The most
You would have glazed
shop
over.
guys, if you've ever worked in a shop or a mill or a factory where it's mostly all men, you get very harsh reaction. You would not be able to finish what you were saying at all.
Anyway, what you can do, dude, yeah,
you are correct,
right, is guilt trip the fuck out of people. Right, if this guy's stolen your food, then literally just throw so much food at him that he feels fucking terrible for nicking your sandwich. Right, just literally, I don't care about food, dude. Here's so much food, you never have to do that again. Then what's he gonna do other than feel terrible? Anyway, sorry,
Benny,
dude.
You got on mute.
Okay, that makes sense. But like in my mom's case, she grew up in this neighborhood. It's called Silver Hill. It's now the ghetto, but that's besides the point. But I mean, pretty much every other girl in that neighborhood got breast cancer, and then also it also comes from trauma. Like I've had quite a few friends that have been raped and stuff like that, and they get breast cancer, uterus cancer, stuff like that. So I think the trauma goes into the cellular memory, and then from that cellular memory and what is created by the way you're feeling, then the cancer just kind of just forms. And yeah, I mean, when I got cancer the first time, I was 12, and it wasn't serious, but I had to get surgery. Obviously, I had melanoma, and I forgot the name of the surgery, but it was on the back of my neck. And but right after that, my skin disease came. Boom, stage 3 skin disease, just completely destroyed my life. So yeah, I mean, I think cancer is caused, like, look what killed my dad. Like, it's besides pancreatic cancer. Well, liver cancer is pretty bad too. I mean, liver cancer is pretty bad. But pancreatic and glioblastoma, it comes from your glial cells, and it's just from having too many glial cells. So what actually produces those glial cells? And I'm trying to figure that out. And on the stealing lunch things, I'll tell you one quick funny story. So this is when I was like a kid, but I remember it. So my dad had a construction company, and Clee, this is a 250-pound black guy from North Carolina. He broke his leg on my skateboard, but that's a whole different thing. But my dad set up cameras on a job because somebody kept on stealing food. And this is back in the 90s. I don't know how he did it. I guess there's cameras or something like that, but he just docked his pay for a whole 2 weeks, and he went to work no matter what. So that is just it. So in the love and the light, as Andre would say.
Well, Benny, like what you're talking about, this whole way that you know, emotions and thoughts and things can affect ourselves. You know, there's a lot going on about kind of that at the minute in kind of quantum biology and these other kind of fringe scientific fields. Like there's I've spoken about it before, the orchestrated reality, the resonance along microtubules being at the minute where they think consciousness is, meaning that essentially consciousness doesn't exist in atoms or in the neurons. It exists in the waves produced by that electromagnetic vibration.
Exactly. And that electromagnetic vibration is running through all your cells.
This is it. Okay. So the when you're talking about vibration, you know, like there's lots and lots of things like mechanotransduction is a system whereby any kind of force or any kind of pressure then can be affect the actual nucleus of the cell. Like it transports a message via these same cables that essentially resonate. So, you know, there's a lot going on about how thought and thinking things in specific ways changes this electromagnetic patterning that can then actually affect vibration onto the DNA to actually turn on or off specific gene patterns that are essentially like susceptible to specific resonant frequencies produced by what you're thinking about. So if you're thinking angry thoughts, yeah, then there's probably some kind of resonance frequency that's produced in the nervous system while you're thinking these angry things that then essentially vibrates through and activates these incredibly tiny resonance receptors that actually kind of activate or turn off whole sections of chromosomes. You know, like they're just one of the ways that white blood cells can kind of squeeze their way through like small capillaries and things. Essentially, they just rearrange their whole shape. That comes from this mechanotransductive action. So essentially, when they collapse, all of that pressure is transmuted into the nucleus, and then can actually activate like what they need to then move out again. But those same processes of incredibly tiny vibrational senses, you know, could be exactly the link that we need to connect this thing between, you know, the vibrations caused by thought, bouncing up and down microtubules in the neuron that might then actually activate gene sequences, or, you know, cancerous or you know, preventative if you think the right way. You know, that's one of the things that they think about, how maybe the placebo effect works, things like that. You know, that by thinking the right way, you can actually get the body to do things purely by that vibrational frequency activating gene sequences that, you know, that you turn off, like via trauma and things like what you said, dude. Like PTSD causes loads of changes like this. That, you know, that they don't really know how this thing works, but that's a good candidate for how these things work. And when you say that you feel a vibration through moving through your body, that is literally the energy of the other person yeah, affecting your energy. Yeah, this is not messing about. These are actual kind of the quantum vibrations that we think consciousness are spread further than your body. So then when you come in close to contact with somebody, those energies interact. You do feel what they think. If somebody is angry around you all the time or winding you up all the time or whatever else, you are absorbing a certain amount of those vibrations. You know, like, so all of these things become relevant, especially when you're talking about little rogue ones that just soak up too much and run off and start doing their own thing. Anyway, sorry, Andre, I've started chatting again. You
So
jump in, dude.
I wanted to say, what we're all saying is, I mean, there's a synergistic effect of things that could or is or whatever going on when things like that happen. But you have to also, as another thing that can cause problems, you cannot rule out environmental factors, because I know so many guys that I know a guy right now, he got diagnosed with lung cancer. He never smoked a cigarette in his life, never did any drugs, never drank, nothing. There's multiple things like that. But, I know a guy that he was in the military and he got hit with Agent Orange a couple times and he got cancer, and they attribute it to that. That's a weak spot in your body that you've however that's gotten to be. But once something triggers it, no matter what it is, the synergistic effect of, you know, uh, whatever, then yeah, that's right. Catalyst. It's that becomes a part of the catalyst. So I think it's all rolled up into it. It's all an accumulative thing. And, uh, certain people, I think every one of us probably has a weak spot. Say, yeah, I can't do this because of that or whatever. Every one of us has something. Me,
So,
it's my back,
so,
my shoulder, and different things.
so,
Plus, my brain is a little bit off.
so, Fred, have you heard of? Well, okay, well, actually, saying that, has anybody ever heard of the book called The Dayspring of Youth? No, it's
No.
channeled by a guy called Frater X or something stupid like that. But
Can
basically, he talks
can
about
you
how.
send me the PDF of it?
Yeah, I think I've got. I'll dig it out. I might have just a link to archives.org. But he talks about how, yeah, every single atom has its own consciousness. Yeah, and every molecule that has polarity, that has like an imbalance of forces, is positively or negatively charged in a spiritual sense as well. So it's something like a carcinogen, which is a chemical that is designed to go in and break DNA and cause cancers. Like that has got to be one of the most negatively orientated molecules you can think of. But if you start thinking about it like that, that even that molecule, that carcinogen, has a consciousness, and it was designed to do a job. It was probably under the most negatively intentioned, like circumstances, and when it comes in contact with it's just doing service, right? You know, that's so the environmental factors, all these other things. You if anything, psychically, you can, in theory, talk to these chemicals and tell them not to be negatively orientated and not to damage you. Like once again, in theory, this does come down to focusing intention outward to interact with these things that you are interacting with. Same as
Well,
praying
then,
over your
Ed,
food and stuff like that.
you need to come up with a program that does exactly that and walk the person through it, so you can become a millionaire. You need
Okay, well,
to
I have meditations where I sit here at my shack, yeah, and I literally just like beam out blasts of like huge green ray shock waves. I think of it like a fucking like a huge energy fireball spreading over the whole town. But literally, my whole intention is to spread love to like the atoms, to the actual fabric of everything. So the positive intention is like built from the baseline, And anyway, I digress.
Yeah. Oh, well, all great points. And yeah, there's lots of research to show that how your feelings and your mood it very much affect your immune system, like due to like cortisol and like the hormones, but also like just the programming of your cells, and like your immune system and what it's willing to do. Like, for instance, like a lot of autoimmune disorders are spiritually caused because the person feels they deserve to be punished, and so they're programming their immune system to attack them because they're punishing themselves. And then there's what do you call it, and so it goes the same thing for things like cancer. And like Benny was giving a great example of how in that society of where there was a lot of rape and negative feelings associated with reproduction. A lot of people were having cancer in their reproductive organs, and that is normal. Because, like, say for instance, like they say cancer goes in the family because you have people who haven't learned how to process catalyst, and then they're passing on their bad habits of holding on to it, and then like to someone else, and then that person is holding on to it, and then they get cancer. And so you've got this vicious cycle of people holding on to catalyst and then getting cancer together, because that becomes socially normalized. And this brings me to what Fred was talking about, that yes, the individual may have some inappropriate butt grasps or other kinds of utterances, but we can still like I interact with lots of people, and like I do get some of those kinds of interactions, and I just persist.
I
just
loved your
persist in-
gangster story, dude.
Thanks.
And like all like the like full on G'd up gangsters probably got guns and shit, and like you just wander over like, yeah, he loved Jesus, dude. You rule.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah. Just the other day I was talking to someone who was like ex-military, and like they had they were telling me about their hard life, and like they were using a lot of profanity, and then like I just listened to them with an open heart, and like to help start that healing process. And then we got to like talking, and then I was like saying how it's good to forgive, love, and be kind to all beings. And they're like, oh, but it's so hard, And then they told me like, oh, they had trouble forgiving and loving these people. And like I was like, okay, well, that's how we can forgive and love them. Everyone has their own space, can then have their own culture. It's okay for people to have different races and ethnicities. And they're like, oh, okay, I see how that could work. And so like it's a conversation, and it is of love. And so if Fred, if you wish to, obviously you have free will, if you wish to be that light at your place of work of love and of kindness and of, say, law of one teachings or Jesus' teachings or whatever resonates with you, you can do that. You do not have to what do you call it, prop up the culture that is at your work. You can be a culture setter. You can set a good example for others, and if they wish to, they can emulate you.
Be the change you want to see, dude.
Yes, exactly.
And know
I
that
do,
doesn't mean you got to be mushy and worry. You can still transmit love and stuff. Like I said, even like when Adam said about the meal, if you bring him in a lunch, hey, dude, if you want, give me $20 a week. I'll freaking buy shit and then I'll bring in
Oh
one.
no, you
Like
don't give him
talking to,
money. No.
no, I didn't say you give
But
him
who gives
money.
you
I
money?
said you telling him to give you 20. Bring him in a lunch started. That's how the conversation starts. You have to realize that we all communicate differently and people are going to perceive differently. So that like you don't okay, you can perceive your love and you could direct love at your workplace without being mushy and being viewed as in the way that and feel that they will be doing to you, hence why you don't emulate it that way, because you already know or you're afraid of being rejected. You feel that they will. Pay attention, communicate it in a sense that you know that they'll be able to comprehend and relate to it. It doesn't mean that you have to like, oh, love you, you can still love people and deliver it in a way that they can understand, especially in those types of situations. I mean, I was in the army. I was a freaking combat medic for an all infantry platoon. Do you think I was running around hugging them all? And like, oh, I do love them, all of them. They're like my brothers. Like we're really close. But you just have to know how to communicate and handle yourselves in certain situations. But you can still get across the same message. It's just about your delivery
And that's
for it to be
exactly
fully effective.
Fully agree.
what is
Yeah, I mean, like seriously, like I'm actually kind of shocked sometimes. Yeah, like I meet lots of kind of weird, kind of sketchy people. I live in Basildon. It's not the
No.
best place in the world for humans. So, I meet lots of kind of crazy people. But is anyone else shocked by how many of these kind of like, supposed, I don't know, rude boy, chavvy kind of, semi-dangerousy people are actually like, I don't know, just becoming more and more spiritual. It's like the awakenings aren't just cool people. They're like, it's happening all over the place, right? And the whole idea of Mars versus Jupiter. Like Mars is the pillar of severity, Jupiter is the pillar of mercy, right? And they both represent strength and power. Yeah, and being like, but one of them is outwardly is fighting, it's war. The other one is to protect and to have strength to overcome. So like they're the same thing, but that one's positive, one's negative. So you don't have to be like a pussy. Jupiter would kick Mars's ass. Yeah, the point of the matter is it comes down to being strong enough to be good in whatever situation. Doesn't matter who's there, how much they're going to grab ass you. Be better than them, and sooner or later they're going to realize they're dickheads. Sorry, Ben, dude, your turn.
About, I don't know, whenever we all got in trouble, I haven't really even seen, all my best friends, some in 10 to 12 years. And then the other one, I mean, even if he's the worst, but he's a family man, he's a good man, and he loves, his people. But, I just made a choice after I learned my lesson. I literally did nothing in that situation. And of course I got off because I did nothing. But, I just walked away from all that shit. All I've done in my life is just chill with all the famous ones around here. And, they're 30, 40 years older than me. And then one was the greatest, and he was the greatest man I ever knew. And there is not a bad word I can ever say about him, because there was never in my boat. Like, so, I do agree that they are changing, but I mean, at the same time, you got to remember, people got to survive. So they're doing what they do, but they have a consciousness at the same time where they can make choices. And like I've said 1,000 times before, you have choices to make. I made choices to separate myself from that, and I've lived alone since then. But it is okay, because I don't have to worry about that stuff. I'm a one-man show, and when they need help, they get them. They have to pay me, but I'll get them out of trouble. But that's just how it works. So, I think that you're right on point about that, Ed. Friggin' people are changing, and I think people are awake at the point where we can just do. Everybody can do something good. Being like, the way I look at my job, right? I'm 1,500 kids, more than 51, because I bust my ass all day. So I know that I'm gonna be straight. So I do agree with that. But when it comes down to that, and you do have some bad seeds out here. You got human traffickers. You got you got fentanyl dealers. You got meth dealers. You got peace. There's it, but yeah. So it doesn't. Nobody. There's good people in the. That's all I have to say about that. I'm sorry for rambling.
Ben, just to say, dude, if you're like a one-man show and you're out and you like me hermiting and that, do you get allergies when you go into town?
Allergies? No, but I start shaking.
Well, that's even worse.
I take my mother, and the only time I see my mother is when I take her out to breakfast, and she'll do anything for me that I ask, but that is just a whole different story, and it's really between her and my father. But I think she feels like I chose my father over her. I think I really had a choice because she even told me the other day, if you get parking tickets, I'm gonna leave you in jail. So
Gosh.
friggin' um, what did you say again? Because I just lost my train of thought. The gummies.
Well, so when you take your mum to breakfast, do you have like allergy reactions? But apparently, yeah, you have convulsions. Like that's even crazier, dude.
I around people and like my whole body won't start shaking, but like my triceps will start spasming and friggin' it's a horrible feeling. I make the best of the situation. I'm making her smile the whole time. But
Diazepam, dude.
I take Klonopin for my heart when I need it, and
No, seriously, it's just 2 milligrams. Don't need a lot. It's really, really great. Just stopping muscle spasms and shit like that. It's great.
if I take 2 milligrams of diazepam, I'm gonna be ignorant. No, I
No,
take.
you don't even notice 2 milligrams, man. Like, and I've eaten like 3 or 4 5s at once before. Seriously. Oh, dude, he left. Oh no, I hope it didn't upset him.
He
Whoa,
probably got booted. I had a question though.
sorry,
Does anybody know like the phrases and stuff that they actually were saying to like their
sorry,
cat
dude.
and crap when he was doing that? You got kicked out, Benny, or Benny, you got dropped the call or something?
I got maybe kicked out or maybe dropped
I
Sorry,
don't
out.
think
dude.
you can kick out.
I
So
really thought I'd upset you, man. I was really worried.
nah. Like literally, I have a valve problem in the where it pumps from my heart. I take 3 heart pills a day. I'll eventually have to get a valve replacement, but I was born like that. And I was born in Baltimore City during the I mean, the hospital. I've read the papers. There was cocaine in my system, whatever. So, um, you know, uh, if I start getting palpitations or whatever, I'll take some Klonopin on top of that, just a half a milligram, and
Whoa.
whoa, it's so much, right? But it'll go down to 72 beats a minute, like usually every single time, because I look at it. So,
Dude, if you're eating clozapine, I'm surprised. Yes, as that drops, you don't start dribbling more. That stuff's crazy. That literally is like a blanket blocker of receptors in your brain. It's like literally, it's like just getting a big blanket, throwing it over your brain, and everything just going.
not really. I mean, unless if I'm drinking, then I
Oh yeah,
won't.
yeah, that helps.
No, but it's Klonopin. I don't know if that's clozapam. I don't know what it is in Brit.
Clozapine. Anyway, it's the same thing, man. It's brand names, but yeah, it's great stuff.
I
You just want
guess
to kind of
doesn't do
spaz
nothing.
out.
Not really. Not off a half a milligram. I just.
No, but that's kind of the same as the 2 milligrams of diazepam, man. It do basically nothing. But yeah, anyway.
Yep.
Question: does anybody actually know the phrases and stuff they were using when the cat was in surgery?
What cat?
Gandalf.
We're talking
Gandalf.
about the reading. Yeah,
I had to leave because there was there was horrible
they're
thunderstorms. So
uh, yeah, they're cat. Because I'm just curious on what phrases that are substantial enough for
For
what
praying and
what is it?
Thanksgiving.
Well, yes, but they said I got that, but in the beginning they were saying by saying these certain phrases. So I'm just curious, was there specific ones, or is it just whatever they felt the need to do or
Has that been
say,
mentioned
whatever?
at any other point?
I entered phrases on L&L research. I'm trying to see if it comes up with anything that'll give us a clue.
Or how many
I can
references
see.
is there to Gandalf?
The main thing is to have words that you believe will work, and that have at least a positive kind of like cat is well, cat is healthy, cat is
Intention is
healing,
everything.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
And
you're just speaking. Yeah.
exactly, like that, those are the most important things. And then it's like the actual substance, like how you do it, how you say it. If you say it 3 times or 4, that doesn't matter so much. It's all
It's like what
about
we
the
were saying
intention.
about the house cleansing thing. Like all of the components need to be in place, but when it comes down to the components, 17 times is that. I missed that. What's going on?
You asked how many times the cat's been asked about.
Oh, okay,
So I
sorry,
searched.
sorry. Yeah, no. Yeah, like the components involved are like uh, uh, are kind of the important thing. If you have those components, then doing the process generally kind of comes down to intuition and kind of like intention, and then
Yeah.
the actual wording that's used, as long as it has the right kind of resonances and the right kind of things involved. It's more the core that you believe it in pure. Has anyone read that Three Magic Words? No, I think
You read a lot of books, Ed.
I do read a lot
A
of
lot
That's
of
books.
good.
old books.
I love old books, man. It's when before they started lying to us all the time. But I also
Mm.
read up to date current scientific research, so I balance it out. Yeah, Three
Nice.
Magic Words. Anyway, just to spoil the
Yeah,
ending, it's I am God, but I think we all knew that. The point,
Yeah.
the point is that the whole book it does really, really lay out this kind of non-dualistic thing that really, really well. And the main thing that I took from it that was really good was he talks about the subconscious, that we all have. That essentially the subconscious mind is just one mind, and I really love that as an idea. So we've all got a subconscious, right? A conscious kind of subconscious mind, and we can interact with the subconscious, and apparently you can do magical things and all this other stuff. Well, like that book says that the subconscious bit is the same for everything. Like we've all got the same subconscious, yeah, and we all pass messages into it, and then it affects change in whatever way related to us. But that's the kind of universal mind. That's the all. That's the kind of where it all goes. Like and it's just a brilliant concept. And when it comes down to this kind of like intention thing, I don't know that's a really kind of powerful tool right there, isn't it? Like knowing for a fact that the thing you're talking to is God.
but
Like the
it
whole.
also didn't Ross say that the basic function of love is attention. When you pay attention to something, that is what love actually boils down to. When you're focusing on something and paying attention to it, and that makes sense. And even in our language, like, oh, I love to, go fishing. I love to, I love chocolate. You pay attention to it. You love your children or your mom or your dad or your friends. You say certain things that you love. That's because you're paying attention to it. So isn't uh then paying attention to something, showing it love, it's the same thing.
I don't know because you can pay attention to something that really pisses you off.
Yeah, you were paying attention
Exactly.
to the guy at work. Do you love him? Do you love that he took your lunch?
Offered you some catalyst to process.
Yeah. Oh yeah, everything does. And I don't talk to anybody about it. I just keep it to
You got
myself.
us.
So,
You got
except
us,
for
dude.
Friday night, and I go and
You
vent on
always got
Friday
us.
night.
I think that thing you're saying though about paying attention, and the examples of like how you love to go fishing, it sounds like it's the bringing together of two things. We're seeing the separateness, but love is like Gemini. It's the twins. It's bringing together more than one, and so when you are paying attention to someone else, but it's a loving paying attention, it's like you're bringing them into your world or you're bringing yourself into theirs. You're coming together. But like Ed was saying, yeah, the lovers. That's true. That's Gemini, yeah.
You just like described it perfectly, dude.
Yeah, well, thank you. But yeah, and but what Ed also said was you can pay attention to something but be expressing hatred towards it, which would be like a pushing away. So it's the specificity, the specificity of that. Paying attention to something in a loving manner, I guess.
Well,
I try to be technical.
this is what I would say to that, because the opposite of love isn't hate. Hate is a distortion of love. So the opposite of love is fear. So in order for it to be the opposite polarity of the paying attention spectrum, you would have to be something that you were paying attention to that you were scared of, not hateful of. Being hatefully paying attention to someone is just loving them in an incredibly distorted manner.
Yeah, well, true, yeah.
All love or hate, dude. They're all just distortions of oneness, right?
Yeah,
Exactly.
yeah, including fear.
Exactly.
Yeah, because with what do you call it? Anger is just a shield for fear, and then fear is usually because you love something and you're afraid of losing it, and, and so fear is a cover for love, and then if you go into it, then you can find that spark of love and then nourish it. Like the usual law of one thing is like, feel your anger or whatever emotion you're having difficulty with, and then let it expand to its natural maximum extent, and then maybe make it go a little bit more while you're meditating, not doing anything like don't go crazy, but and then do the same thing.
I normally
with
just
the
go
love
crazy
to fill it.
Smash something and then do this.
No. Stay safe. Well, at least that's my recommendation. And then like you can feel like the opposite emotion, I guess, if it's like fear and love, or anger and love, or whatever. Anyways, but love seems to be the main one that you end with.
I normally go via, oh my god, why did I smash that?
But doesn't that play into the entire reason that we're here in third density in this cycle, is to learn love? We're to open our green ray. Isn't that the whole, like, not the whole reason, but it's kind of like one of the main focuses of us being here.
That's why stealing your lunch was an incredible catalyst, dude.
Yes, it was an incredible catalyst, and that there's much to be grateful for in that man, and the spark of the divine within them.
We can't. Ra even said we can't understand. This isn't the density of understanding. This is the density of learning to love. I think that's what he said, something along that line. Yeah, we can't actually fully understand it all.
It's more like the density of banging your head against the wall.
Yeah.
And I like to think about it this way, yeah? God stole your lunch.
Yeah.
See the divide in everyone,
God
man.
stole your lunch. It's true.
Yeah.
And you can tell God, here, have the rest of my lunch. I will just go without, and see what the reaction is.
I can start calling him God now. And well, no, that would be a derogatory thing. That's like, I don't know. It'd be like calling somebody that's being nasty and mean a Karen. I mean, that's just that would go like if I said, "Here you go, God," and gave him a new a whole lunch. Dude, that would probably piss him off.
Can I just say, he is the same as all of us, and every single other person you've ever met, and every single other thing you've ever seen, just an individualization version of God. All of us.
Yeah.
So you see the divine in everything, man. You see the divine in everybody.
Well, I think of, what if this had happened to someone else, what would they have done? And
Why do you care about that? Why do you care about that? Forget about other people. Yeah, right.
I just
You can only do anything about yourself, dude. Don't waste time thinking
I
about
look
them.
at that, and I'm like, man, that's what I have to compare myself to. Well, shit, no matter
So don't
what, the
bother.
worst thing I did isn't going to be that bad. But no, I think I handled it correctly for the exact situation. I know not everybody was, there. It's really no big deal, but it just is what it is. If that was my worst catalyst this week, I'm pretty good.
Yeah.
But
I think the
As soon as
purpose
you
actually goes
recognise it as
deeper for you.
catalyst. Sorry,
I
Desiree.
think that's all right. I said I think the purpose of that and how you handle it was deeper than just on that level. I think it was more for you and how you interpret it and how you deal with it and how you let things affect you. So it's like you coming to that conclusion that I'm not going to let it anger me. I'm not going to let it bother me. Who cares about my, worried about if he knows he respects my boundaries or, stuff like that. I feel like it's just a bigger lesson for you to allow you to come in fully with what you're trying to encompass here as a person and an individual and letting go of those emotions and things that are we all have them. They happen. I think it's more so being cognizant of it and then trying to eliminate the frequency of it, meaning the frequency is how many times it happens to us. So,
right. No, I think you're exactly right because I've had so many similar situations come up, and it's usually something pretty ridiculous. It's just somebody being ridiculous and how I handle it. And
I still
so
go
if
through
it
this too.
keeps
So I
coming,
understand.
if it keeps coming up though, is that because maybe I'm handling it incorrectly?
Learn the lessons of love, dude. That's what catalysts are for.
Exactly. And
And
I
I
mean,
mean,
if I can say one thing, so from what I understand and the way that I have learned, energy comes in layers, right? So you got energies of layers. So if you're angry, what do you think comes next? Sadness. And then after the sadness, what comes after that? You just feel through that. And I mean, you can do everything right in love. I mean, love is love no matter what. Like, and it doesn't matter how it comes or what way it forms or or anything that is on that, I guess, catalyst. Like I don't know the word catalyst, but friggin' it sounds like it's just like the energy of the week or something, or just what's provoking things. But I mean, if you come from true heart and you don't put your ego into anything and you tell the truth every day, it's love. Doesn't how it comes. Like, I mean, I show love to so many people that and they don't. So and it really doesn't matter. So I don't know how y'all feel about it, but how I learned, doing energy healings for people on a table, friggin', what are you feeling? Okay, let's turn off our brains. Let's feel these feelings. Keep feeling. Keep feeling. About a minute later, boom, there's a next feeling. And then there's a next feeling. And then there's a next feeling. And you just go through those feelings and that stuff out of you. That's
honestly, dude, like you just gave one of the most incredible kind of descriptions of like the Western approach to kind of the chakras and the energy bodies and all of these things. Like that was literally. I wish I'd record. Like, is that recorded, man? Because that was actually
Oh,
beautiful,
yes.
dude.
Yes,
Seriously.
I think
it's
it's live.
recorded.
Like
Live,
that,
yeah.
that was mind blowing, man. That was fucking.
That really
That was
was
some
beautiful.
beautiful shit, dude. Seriously, you raw, man.
I'm struck by stupid. You have to understand. Like not like STUPID, but STOOPID. Stupid. And that's just what it is, friggin'. It's just not regular. Like I spent 11 years talking to somebody until their unfortunate downfall, but that's because of their own choices. But You know, they taught me
It's,
all
it's more
this.
it's more to me, dude. It's the way that you describe it. It all seems so intuitive. It's like you're describing something that like everybody should just feel. Like because you
Everybody,
just understand it so
that's
well.
the
But I don't
problem.
think that those are things that most people feel, dude. And the way you describe it, so I don't know, it's very, very. It's really cool, man. Sorry.
That
Well, we
is the
spend life trying to suppress feelings. So he's 100% right. We need to feel those emotions. It's the only way to release them, to let, and to really move forward in it. But nope, we're in a society, in a world that's like, suppress them. You can't feel. You're a man. You can't cry. All this. And it's ridiculous. It is so ridiculous. And we wonder why we have a bunch of broken people walking around without not knowing how to cope, having all these pain, all these things manifesting in them because they have these trapped emotions, these things they never experienced, it never worked, they never actually felt through because we have sat there. Someone, I don't know who the hell came up with the idea, but was like, nope, that's not normal, and it should be normalized.
Yeah. It's like I'm saying, it's a cultural shift, of learning to first process catalyst yourself, and then helping others by setting that example of like, no, I'm not going to just hold on or whatever. I'm going to like feel my feelings, express my feelings if I need to, and convey, there's the divine within me. I respect myself enough to say, hey, you stepped on my foot. and
Hey, I'm gonna bring you some lunch.
and I respect and love you as the divine, and I'm gonna say, and I love you anyways. But can we perhaps find a way where we have enough space that you don't have to step on my foot, and then we can have a wonderful, loving, harmonious relationship together. And then also, or just loving and accepting people for occasionally stepping on your foot, and then just letting it go. And then that's also processing with love, and it's all depends on you and what resonates with your innermost deeper innermost calling. If you want to do the expressing, if you want to move somewhere else, whatever it is, because you have the divine within you, and that's worthy of respect and love. And if you want to speak. If you don't, you don't have to.
Also, I would say to have some grace with yourself, though, with that, because we sit there and say, oh, just loving people and this and that. It's easier said than done in the grand when we all get triggered. We all have things that happen and stuff like that. So you have to, a lot of people are like, oh, I'm judging people, and they get so angry with themselves and they get so mad. Me, I literally like, wait a minute. All right. Well, I acknowledge it that I'm doing it, or or I am reacting a certain way, and then I have to talk through it with myself, and then I revamp, like,
that's so
come back around and let it out, because otherwise, I mean, if everyone really if we just sit there and say, oh, just, show love and this and that. Yes, yes. But know that it's okay that it's not so easy as well. So give yourself some grace. You're not broken, but be cognizant of what you're doing and try to fix it. As long as you're doing that, then you are still being of love and whatever else. Because we are still very much human.
Yeah,
You've got to be
I'm not
putting
trying to go
boundaries and things
backwards.
like
I'm
that.
trying to go forwards. That's the whole idea, is to go forward, not backwards.
Yeah.
And that depends on where you want to go. If you want to go on the service to others path, then forwards would be learning to love and accept all the different catalysts that are in your life.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Learn it. I wasn't saying not to. I was just saying as you're going through the process, know that it's not an overnight thing. You're not just, I mean, it can be. I'm sure it can be if you do somewhere. I know that not for me, it wasn't. And
Right.
I still have time. I mean, I don't care. There's nobody in here that can't tell me that they don't have moments. But it's a work in progress. So as long as you are exactly, you're still working forward towards it. Just because you have a moment doesn't mean you step back and you went back 100 paces. That was my point. That's why I said give yourself some grace, and then when you're acknowledging it and you're fixing it, and you're like, okay,
Right.
rerouting it,
Well,
and then you're still going forward.
This is what I was pointing to a bit ago. Was when I compare what I do, I will eventually compare it to what, say, I would have done 10 years ago. Myself doing it. Like, where have I gone in my reaction to this? How would I have reacted to this when I was 28 years old instead of 47, you know, and well, how I would handle it now is much better than I would have handled it then. Then I've learned, so I know I'm headed in the right direction. That's like my own litmus test, I guess you would call it that, for yourself. And you can do that in each time something happens. You can compare yourself to the last time, like, oh, this happened a couple months ago. I remember this is how I handled it then. I'm going to handle it differently now, and just each time it happens, adjusting how you handle it by understanding it a little bit better, getting a little bit better grasp on maybe what, where, when, and why, and getting different experience. It comes with experience too. And that's the part that sucks and people don't like to hear. But I don't mind that. I've gotten experience with all kinds of things in my life. You don't get good at something without being experienced at it. I'm sorry. I'm just, there's certain things I can do that other people say, well, yeah, I know you've done this before, because they know you've done it. And then this is probably absolutely no different, right? Am I right?
Has anyone else had this thing, this realization as you're getting through, especially when you're starting this whole spiritual path thing? Yeah, that life has been a path. Yeah, and all these different phases and these things that you've gone through in your life, you needed to go through them. Because they might have been horrible, they might have been terrible, but they forged you. They made you into who you are. Yeah, and the things that from years ago that you might have thought would never be relevant might be the most important thing you ever need to know. Right, and all of these things will keep cycling up, and there's reasons why you did all of these things in your life back whenever. They were all catalysts. They were all things that you needed to learn in order to overcome things further on. I went to university and fully closed up my third eye, and I was atheist and science, but I needed to go through that to learn how everything works properly, so that then when I'm exploring spiritually, when I had all these awakenings and this crazy shit happen, no one can tell me anything about science that they're gonna, oh yeah, this is like God of the gaps. I'm like, no bollocks, I know that. Don't be silly. I only actually like the things that I know. So anyway, yeah, Robert, dude, sorry, jump in. Sorry.
Oh, well, yeah, if you're done. You inspired me to bring this up. The word is recapitulation, where you go over something again and again. Well, capit is in your head, recapitulation. But anyway, I've read this a long time ago where it's theorized it's spiritually related to reincarnation, where each lifetime recapitulates previous ones, but it tries to compress it in a small enough amount of that life so that you can move forward instead of reliving all the past stuff during your one whole life again. It's like a karmic nightmare if you do that. So recapitulate, and I've seen that in myself. I looked at that and I was able to see that, where I recapitulated things that have happened before, and I've stepped away from them, and I feel like there's been growth into new areas. But I'm only what's going to be 61 years old, and so I've got years to go left of further growth. So I'm still exploring that which I used to be. Yes, is how I'm looking.
Isn't that kind of a fractal anyway? For when sure. Something keeps happening, but it goes in a different pattern each time, changing a little bit. But yeah. That's creating a fractal. That's creating a spiral.
Holographic, fractal, quantum display of reality. Yeah.
I bet you if we were able to take snapshots of our lives, of our auric fractal that we started from the beginning, it would probably be the most beautiful piece of artwork you could imagine.
And definitely, that's reading that Hidden Hand document. I refer to that often because I loved it. When we get back into the other side, when we're not in this third density shell and we're back in the energetic forms, and we get to be with all of our friends and loved ones who may have been our enemies and stuff in this lifetime, it's all amazing. We get to look back and go, that was a wonderful experience. I want to go back to Earth and do another one. Then when you get back to Earth, you're like, why the fuck did I do this? Because you forget, you know. That's the recapitulation part of it too. It's like going back and doing it again, but having to see that stuff and move forward. Seek the love. Yes, seek the love.
Okay.
Yeah.
Benny.
So I'll explain to you how it works. Like, I don't know what recapitulation means, but it sounds like it's coming again, right? So in life, I mean, what is that famous thing, you know, at the crossroads? It was written, I think, by Robert Frost. So I mean, you have choices, and I mean, I'm all about what I've learned. I mean, that's what I know, and that's all I'm gonna say. But so you have choices. So when these things come back to you, and it, I guess, becomes fractual or whatever, or it just comes back again in a different way. I mean, maybe you're just not making the right choice over and over and over and over and over again. So you, I mean, really what life is, I guess, is picture a soul, whatever you think of a soul is, transponding on some type of table or whatever, you know, and we're here in this thing that has been built. But and there's just not Earth. The whole thing has been built because there's something way beyond. But everything is going to keep on happening to you over and over and over and over again until you learn what you have to do to better yourself. Those are the steps, you know, becoming 5-dimensional, 6-dimensional, or even to the 13th, which is the Divine Mother. So, you know, I just really think you should just look at life as a mirror of yourself, because even if you want to bring up demons, that's all demons do. They just mirror you and your own fears and your own mistakes, and they put obstacles in your path. And you know, I don't pay that shit no mind. Like, I've
Same
let
as
that
angels, dude. Just like the flip mode, you know.
Well, what do you want to know about angels? I know all about angels.
That's what I mean. Like what you're talking about, like how demons are kind of the outward manifestation of the things in you. You know, essentially, angels are the same, but for the good.
The angels are heaviness in your heart, knowing that you should do the right thing. That is what angels are. You know,
Ash or whatever book it talks about, and I think that Beelzebub book talks about it as well, about how conscience and kind of like, you know, like feeling bad and like having a conscience, you know, as in, you know, like doing the right thing is the way that God and angels, you know, directly talk to you.
exactly. Even the finches out here have a consciousness. I mean, it might be small, but when they see me, you know, they know who gives them food, you know. And I've watched a whole finch hierarchy out here with one big finch. It pretends it has a hurt wing, and then the other finches comes and feeds it on top of my privacy fence, but it flies up there and then flies away. I mean, everything has a consciousness. I mean, even plants do. I mean, you can destroy a whole environment and things are going to just drop dead, you know, just being plants, and those are fairies, really. So I mean,
Did you guys see that the experiments where they had the two plants, yeah, on the side, yeah, and they had someone come in, and they had like 5 people go through, yeah, and like stroke the plant. Then they had someone come in and hack the plant up and chop it all up, yeah, and
exactly.
then they had the other plant that was sitting there watching this all happen. It had like electrodes and things attached to it to measure the resonance, yeah, and the 5 people that walked past that didn't hurt the plant, it didn't cause a reaction. But then the person that chopped the plant up, as soon as it walked over, the plant started going me, 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 me,
Fuck.
like it was afraid and it recognized that person.
Has Has anybody heard that orchids can actually hear?
All plants can hear. That's one of the things they know that they can do. Okay, so there's types of tobacco plant that actually start to shake, when they're being eaten. Yeah, now that happens because of the fact that they've got these tiny little sound vibrational sensors. Yeah, so when something's chewing on the plant, it actually causes it to release chemicals that make it shake or make it taste rubbish or whatever, because it can hear that it's being eaten. Anyway, sorry.
I'm here responding to Michelle.
We're getting closer to 9 o'clock too, Andre. So I don't know if you want to.
Yeah. Well, it's almost 10 here. So yeah, I don't know if anyone
of 2 a.m. here or something.
has any last remarks before we at least close the live stream. You guys can continue on in here.
I love you all.
I love you all.
Okay.
All right,
And
bye
I
bye.
said the same thing.
Yeah.
All right, so we leave you in the love and in the light of the one infinite creator. Go forth, therefore, rejoicing in the power and the peace of the one infinite creator. Adonai.
Adonai. Love you guys.
Adonai.